Cool. Here we are, live again. Hi,
Yay.
guys. I am Nikki Wells, health and holistic lifestyle coach, back in action after a little hiatus with the Vibrant and Divine Women interview series, and specifically this little 4-part mini series I'm doing with my friend and fellow health coach, Deanna Deacon. Hey, girl.
Hey, how's it going?
It's wonderful. It's been, we were just talking about not using that language of it's been busy, because busy implies maybe doing things that you don't want to be doing or something like that. And so I've been wonderful. I've had a lot of things going on, which have been great, lots of new opportunities, and I've gotten to do a few workshops, and it's exciting. I think it's that fall weather, that transition that we've all been feeling from summer over to winter, and really just enjoying that. So how's everything going with you? I know you've also had a lot going on.
Yeah, I love that we were talking about that this morning, because it's so true. We very often tell ourselves that we're busy, or we have so much going on, or just so much on our plate, so many things on our to-do list. But both of us could say all of those things about what we've been up to. But I like the idea of instead saying that there's a lot going on, because it's all good stuff. We're doing things that fill us up and make us feel good and service to people around us. So yeah, things in my world have been awesome. I also have been hosting some workshops, which is something that I really love to do. And I think that through your Vibrant and Divine Women interview series, it has really pulled out this love out of me of being able to speak and share with others. So I want to thank you for inviting me to come and be a part of this, and also for continuing on and creating this Higher Vibrations 4-part series. I think it's exciting and fun, and I'm looking forward to diving into today's topic.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's so cool to get to talk with people in these different, we have all of this technology now, and so to get to use it and connect with people and share what we love with the world around us is such an amazing opportunity. So absolutely. So yeah, let's dive in. Today, we kind of wanted to talk about fluidity, this topic of intentional movement, exercise, and really for every single person, right? Because sometimes people can think about exercise or movement and be like, oh, well, I don't go to the gym, or, oh, I don't run, so I don't do it, And for me, that's something I think that's so important to talk about, is what are the ways in which we can move that benefits our body, that benefits our health, that makes us feel awesome, and that it looks different for everybody. And I know this is, I think, a topic that's probably near and dear to your heart, and I'd love for you to kind of kick off the conversation and just get us moving. What do we feel about the whole concept of exercise and movement and all of that?
Totally. So I'd like to start off just with a little situation that occurred last night. I created a group called Teen Yoga, and it's from a fellow friend of mine. She's a yoga instructor, and she is now hosting 6 weeks of yoga just for teens. So the idea of it is some teens have tried yoga before, some have not, but it's an introductory 6-week program so they can start to understand the breath work, the movement of their body, and really start to get a feel for the poses and what yoga is. And in our conversation last night was the first session, I mentioned to them that when I was their age, when I was a teenager, I played soccer, I played basketball, I played volleyball, I played baseball, I played every sport that I could get my hands on. And all of them required, run until you puke, and, work your ass off and just lift weights and get stronger and do more and be better and go harder. And it was so aggressive, and I loved it. It totally filled me up, and I thought that's what exercise was. Mm-hmm. And it took me until I was in my sort of early to mid 20s to really understand that that's not what exercise is. It is a component of it, but that's not what our bodies were truly designed for on a regular basis. I mean, if we take it all the way back to the caveman days, yes, we did have to exert a lot of energy and a lot of force and strength in a short period of time, but it wasn't long-term sustained throughout our entire life. And so that isn't what our bodies are designed for. They're designed to move and to flow and to ebb and go with all of the waves that are coming in our lives. And so I think that what our goal with this conversation is to really create kind of a new meaning of what the word exercise or fitness can mean to you. It's different for every body and every person. So I think that's really what we're trying to dive in with here. Do you agree?
I absolutely agree. And I love that. And really, really looking at that, like that really excites me, that idea that exercise doesn't have to be this like push go thing, like that it's you moving your body and getting into the flow of your life and acknowledging that in different stages, in different points in the month, different points in our lives, that flow looks different. So really, we don't have to pick the one thing that we're going to do for the rest of our lives, right? Like this is a kind of constantly evolving and moving thing that goes with our bodies. And I think one thing for me that's just come up in this is really like that piece of how can we find and figure out what our bodies are asking for in any given moment. Because some days maybe you do want to go hard and like, you know, lift weights or like go to a CrossFit class or something like that. And then maybe other days you don't. And it's so an important part, I think for me, is really how can we help people to check in, learn how to check in with themselves and ask, what is it that I actually need today? What's going to make me feel the best?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the biggest component. And we talked a bit about that in our last conversation about awakening your spirituality, where it's not about doing all the things right. It's about listening to your body and doing what's right for your body, because everybody's body is different and every single day is different. I mean, we have different hormones going through our system. We've eaten different food. We have different emotions and experiences happening all the time. If we think that every single day going to a hardcore CrossFit class is going to be exactly what we need, then we're completely delusional. Because, like I said, there's the ebb and the flow, and we need to listen to our bodies to ask it, what does it need? Does it need more nurturing and nourishment, or does it need to really release energy and expel it and use the strength? And all of those are important and necessary, but it's important to understand when they're coming, when they're there, and when they're not. Mm-hmm. And I just want to say hey to Vivian. Vivian's saying, it's nice to see you. So I just want to say hey and enjoy the conversation. Let us know any questions you have.
Hey, Vivian. So how do we check in with ourselves, right? Like, let's start there, because I think we can go into a whole conversation of, you know, what the different types of what movement really is and like what that can look like. But how do we, you know, what's the first step for somebody who is wanting to explore alternative movement and also just kind of that piece of checking in with themselves? I think for me, what comes up is, are you able, you know, are you in tune with your body, right? Do you know what your body, you know, are you checking in with your feelings and like your emotional state? And one way that I check in with myself each day is, and we talked about this last time, was kind of that meditation piece, or really just sitting quietly for a second with yourself, kind of getting grounded and centered. And getting grounded and centered in yourself really is just that, you know, doing some deep breathing. You don't have to sit in meditation for 20 minutes to feel grounded and centered in your body. You know, it's like, do some deep breathing, maybe stretching your arms and your body a little bit, and just kind of like get into your body, right? When we first wake up in the morning, we're tight. We're like, oh, you know, what do I, so that's the first piece, right? So you kind of get grounded and get centered by breathing, stretching, whatever that looks like for you. I think those are the two common ones. And then ask yourself that question, what do I need today? What am I feeling today? And the key point here is really just kind of listening. What intuitively comes up? Are you feeling like, oh yeah, I want to run today? Or are you feeling like, I think some yoga would be nice, a gentle yoga class. So that's kind of, I think, what the process looks like for me. What does it look like for you, Deanna?
Well, one of my favorite things that kind of has to do with what you just said in terms of how you're feeling emotionally and how you are in your body and doing a check-in is finding a movement that you can do regularly every single day, whether you're feeling tired and sick or whether you're feeling really energized, so it can be consistent. And then from there, that can be your physical check-in. So for me, it's often working in the hips. And so treating the hips like a bowl of water, and like working not to spill the water out either side, but moving it around. And as you move your hips around, you start to release some blocked energy that you have in there. And as that's flowing through your system, you're going to start to understand what your body needs to move forward. So if you start just by twisting your hips and moving around, especially for those who sit down all day long, just start moving those hips around. You'll start to feel different sensations coming up in your body, and it's going to start to let you know if it's a day when you want to go hard or if it's a day when you want to pull back and go soft and really check in and be quiet with yourself.
Awesome. So moving your hips. So is that something that we do seated in a chair, standing? How do you like to do that?
You can do it any way, whatever feels good for you, but I personally love to do it standing because I feel I can get a really good range of motion. Mm-hmm. And what I find is I'll start just by moving the hips, and then that feels really good. And then I want to start moving my shoulders and my spine, and then suddenly my whole body's just going in a circle. Mm-hmm. If you have one of those beautiful blow-up balls, an exercise ball, you can do it sitting on that, and you'll really feel your abdominals starting to work with it. And then also, once I go from there, usually standing, I then just go into a forward fold. And in the forward fold is when I can really check in with myself and say, okay, are we going to get up and do a bunch of push-ups and jumping jacks? Or are we going to come down, maybe do one push-up and then just lay on the mat and stretch it out? And that's how I really start to figure out what my body needs for the day.
I love this idea. So this is a practice that you do every day, and you do this right away when you wake up in the morning?
I don't do it first thing in the morning, actually. Sometimes I'll do a little bit of movement if my body feels it that way, but I find I much prefer to have a meditation in the morning and do my fitness like late morning, say like 11 or 12. And so that's when I'll stand there. I'll think, okay, it's time for some exercise. I know I want to move. So I stand there, I start to move my body and my hips and see what it feels. And that's when I decide what kind of workout I want to have.
I love that idea. I love that idea. So, really kind of checking in with yourself. Deanna just shared with us an awesome way to check in with your body and ask for what it needs. Really just kind of opening up that energy that might be stuck so that you can then take the next step, which is certainly moving your body. And I have to say that this is an interesting topic for me. And I think, how do I say this? So I prefer, I like to do yoga. That's really my thing. Yoga and walking are probably the two forms of exercise that I like to do right now. And I think that's partly because I've been really trying to cultivate my kind of feminine energy, and this idea of like allowing myself to be more fluid and like moving through my day, and I don't like to put a lot of like stress and tension on my body. So it's a really interesting thing, because I know that doing more high intensity exercise is also really good for the body, and not necessarily like for hours on end, but 20 or 30 minutes. And so it's an interesting thing for me, this concept of exercise and fluid movement, because for me, doing yoga or going out for a walk is really how I like to move my body in a way that doesn't feel too intense. And I'm curious if you have any thoughts on that kind of a process, because maybe for someone like me, it would be good to explore a more intense type of movement, but at the same time, it's also like almost a little scary, right? Like to do something totally new and to move my body in a way that may be hard, or I may feel sore or tightness the next day or something like that. And I know that for myself included, and probably a lot of other people, that can almost be like a deterrent, because I know what's going to happen tomorrow. So what do you think about that, Deanna?
Totally. I'm going to respond to that in just one sec, but I just want to comment on what Vivian said. Vivian, you're saying that this is great, as you're ready for a half marathon, and that you're loving doing the bar method 4 times a week. You go, girl.
Oh, Vivian, amazing bar. Hard work.
And you're only doing yoga once a week currently, which is great. But this is a goal that you're going to change and get it up again. And it's great to be reminded to tune in. That's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that, Vivian. And I think that for a lot of people, yoga is a beautiful exercise that can get you very strong, very toned, and feel extremely fit in your body. But for a lot of people, before they get to that point, it's simply the opportunity for them to slow down and check in.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, obviously we all know there's some hardcore yoga classes that are really going to move your body, and those are great. But sometimes what a person needs more than that is an hour of quiet, an hour of gently moving their body and letting their mind flow where it needs to flow, and then just go away, you know, just check in with yourself and have that moment to yourself. So that's great. I'm awesome to hear. And in terms of wanting maybe like more weight training or a little bit more hardcore workout, but feeling a little bit timid, I totally hear you. I actually teach a class called Booty Camp. And the reason I call it Booty Camp is not that we focus totally on our booties. It's kind of like an introduction to a boot camp style class with a lot of fun. So I completely understand that it can be really scary for some women, especially, to start weight training and doing lots of push-ups and squats and sit-ups and doing all this hardcore workout and not know what's going to come next. So in Booty Camp, I take it upon myself to really assess the group, figure out where everyone is at, what they're feeling, and then whenever we need to, we just take a break and we dance. And we just put on a song that makes all of us just naturally want to move, and we shake our booties, we shake our hips, we shake our tatas, and we just have so much fun. And I think people underestimate the exercise and fluidity that comes through dancing. I mean, I think in North America, our dancing ability is a little bit different than in some other cultures. And I've had the privilege of seeing some beautiful cultures that can just move their hips and move their bodies all the time without needing to look a certain way. They just do it because they feel it. And so I think that for someone who wants to bring in some more like hard physical movement, start honestly with dancing. And then you can dance with some weights in your arms and just move them around and just start to see how your body feels when you're getting more movement in it. And when you're starting, you know, do some squats in your dance and just see how that feels. And just test it out with your body so you can start to understand what feels good for you and what doesn't. And that will help your cardio go up. That will help your weight training if you're bringing some weights in, or if you're picking up your dog or your cat and dancing with them. There's lots of ways to kind of get your body prepped and ready to go. And then once you're at that point, try taking a class. Go to a class that, you know, at a community center that feels comfortable for you to walk into. Maybe you know the instructor, or maybe you go beforehand and talk to the instructor so you feel more comfortable, and just give it a try, because you're going to see benefits from it and it's going to feel great. And a little bit of pain the next day is okay. It means that you worked those muscles, and all they're doing is working hard to repair so that you can be stronger.
I love that. I wish I could have you here as my personal trainer and encouragement person.
That would be so much fun. I wish so too. Too bad we're on opposite ends of the continent.
Yes, one day. So I love that idea of dancing. I think that that's really cool, like to encourage people to move their body in a way that's maybe non-traditional, right? Because most people, maybe besides people who are actually like professional dancers or like in dance class, you know, people don't think that movement dancing is a form of exercise, but it is, because maybe we can like redefine exercise right here as, and maybe I shouldn't even use that word, I should use movement. So we're moving our body, right? We're moving blocked energy, we're stretching out our muscles, we're, you know, turning and twisting. And I think really what it's about, and give me your input, is moving that energy through your body, getting your blood pumping, like getting fresh oxygen to your cells, all of that. That's really like, the point of it is to re-energize, to invigorate yourself, right?
Totally. I think if you look at exercise or movement or fitness, not in terms of how you look, not in terms of achieving a goal, if you look at it simply as my body, what does my body need to feel good? That's all it comes down to. And often what your body needs to feel good is, like you're saying, that movement of the energy through the system, fresh blood pumping, twisting so that all of your internal organs are tightened, and then fresh blood flows to them so they can work more optimally. And looking at that movement as more than something to do or something that you have to do. I mean, yes, we want to get exercise. We want to make sure that we're maintaining a healthy weight for our bodies, but it's not about looking a certain way. It's great when you look a certain way that makes you feel really good, but it's also great to feel good and feel good about how you look all the time, because you're moving your body because it feels good, because that's what your body deserves, and that's what your body needs to continue being healthy and happy. That's it. That's all we need.
I love that. I love that mindset shift. Thank you so much for sharing that. Really, like driving that idea home, right? That the point of this is to feel good. I think really the point of life always is just to feel good. That's what we're here for. We're here, whatever we're doing every single day is just about feeling good and feeling happy and like truly experiencing and feeling into that human experience. And so moving our body, not because we have an expectation or an outcome or something, but rather because it makes us feel good. And whatever that is for you, because like we talked about, you know, some people, it feels really great for them to do CrossFit class and they're hardcore and they feel on fire, and that's awesome. And then for other people, that looks like, you know, running in for miles and miles and miles. And for other people, that looks like dancing, or that looks like, I would even put things like, you know, like if you're like outdoors, like gardening all day, you know, like that's movement. You're moving your body, you're bending, you're twisting, you're standing, you're squatting, you know, so what are the like alternative ways that we can view this as I want to feel good. Me doing this allows me to feel good. I don't have this expectation of, I want to look good. I think you're going to look good if you feel good, right?
Completely, yeah. And I have a comment on that, but Vivian, I just saw your comment of what's our opinion on high intensity and interval work. So my opinion for that is I think it's awesome, and I think you can gain a lot of strength and a lot of cardiovascular endurance from it. I just think that you always need to have a really strong warm-up, because if you're suddenly just going to jump into doing a bunch of high intensity and interval work, it's very easy to injure yourself. And even just those small injuries that then you don't work out for the next 3 days or so because you're so sore, that's not what it's all about. That's not what you want. So really having a strong warm-up before you get into it, and making sure that you couple it with other things that that contradict it in a sense, or that complement it, in that maybe you go for a nice, slow, calming yoga class, or maybe you take time to garden in the yard, and just making sure that you're balancing yourself out so it's not all high intensity, loud music, let's go, that you have a balance between them. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. So again, like I think as a health coach, I don't want to, you know, people I think sometimes can put us up on pedestals. It's like, oh, they must be like, you know, super eating perfectly all the time and working out perfectly all the time. And it's not like that. Like it's absolutely
not like that.
Not like that. Hey, we're putting it out there. 2 health coaches. You know, it's something that's on my, you know, my list of things that I want to do every day, and it doesn't always happen. And it's like, and then so for me, like I've talked about already, you know, doing yoga and walking and these kind of like lower intensity things. I mean, mind you, I go to hot yoga, so it's not intense. So let me just put that out there. But yeah, so doing high intensity workouts and like that kind of thing, if that feels good for you and you're being called to do that, then absolutely. But doing it in a way that's smart and that's still feeling good. Like I think that's really the big caveat here is like, do you feel good? And if you're doing high intensity workouts every day and you don't feel like you're giving your body a chance to recover, then you're probably not going to stick with it for very long, because you're going to, like you said, maybe get a minor injury, or you're going to feel super, you know, tight in your legs and feel like you can't walk. And then you're going to just like, well, I can't do it today because I can't walk. You know, that's definitely happened to me. So really just, I think, being kind and compassionate with ourselves, and really that piece of like, you want to start a new workout, that's awesome. And allowing yourself to like gradually build into it. Like, do you have to start tomorrow and do HIIT workouts every single day from then on out? No, like you just said, like what can you put in between? Like you do a HIIT workout and then maybe you do yoga the next day to give your body a chance to recuperate. And I think it's about that piece of just kind of like building up to where you want to go, and always checking in with, do I feel good? Does this make me feel good? If you're going to work out and you have a sense of like obligation about it, like, ugh, I have to go do my workout now, then I'm pretty sure that's not going to be received well in your body. Do you have any thoughts on that idea?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it can be challenging because for some people, I know that they need to basically trick themselves into going for a workout and then they end up feeling better afterwards. But I agree with your thought in that maybe the type of workout that you're doing isn't truly serving you. Or maybe you're lying to yourself, and maybe you absolutely love going to that workout, but you're just in that super negative victim mindset. And so what you really need to do is work on your mindset to shift and recognize, hang on, I feel great after I work out. Why am I dreading going? What is that about? So I just have to pause. There's a beautiful deer walking through my front yard right now. She's so stunning, and she's just going through and taking some seed from the bird feeder. So she's really happy. She just caught mine.
Beautiful.
One thing that I wanted to mention that I think is incredibly important for everybody listening and everyone who's not listening, I hope somehow you hear this. And this goes back to your comment about gardening basically being exercise, which it is. My aunt came up to visit when I first moved into this house that I live in now, and she is a beautiful gardener and knows everything about gardens. Well, I think she does. And she was showing me about our garden here and all the plants that we have in it. So we were digging things up, and I don't garden very much. It's just I don't have a green thumb at all. So I was learning from her. And as I was digging, I was saying, it really hurts my back, being down here like this all the time. And she said, well, that's where you use your yoga squat. And so then I came into my yoga squat and I thought, oh my goodness, there's no pain anymore. It makes complete sense. And that right there was a beautiful reminder of always making sure that whatever we're doing for exercise, for fitness, for movement is functional. The point of going to the gym and working out is, yes, to get stronger, but what for? Not to look a certain way, to get stronger so you can carry your groceries better, so you can carry your kids better, so you don't drop things at work if you have to lift heavy things from here and there. And just making sure that all the things you're doing in your workouts, in your movement, in your daily life is actually supporting your lifestyle. So if you're a CrossFitter, if you're lifting super heavy weights, that's great. How is that serving you in your life? If you go to yoga and being really flexible it feels great in your body, how is that serving you in your life? How is that making you a better person and serving your lifestyle better?
I love that idea so much. Really, that is I think a collective mindset shift that needs to happen, is that, we can become so obsessed with fitness and fitness for the external, because I want to look good, or I want my arm to look this way, or I want my abs to look this way, or whatever. But it's like, I love that mindset shift so much. Like, but what is the purpose? Like, how is it serving you? How is it making you better in the other areas of your life? And if figuring that out, like checking in with yourself about that. Like, why am I doing this? What does this do for me? How does this improve my life? How is this applicable to my life? So I think that's a really beautiful question to check in with.
And one thing that I wanted to bring up too, and kind of like you were saying about as health coaches, we're not up on a pedestal. We just have maybe a little bit more awareness or knowledge, but that doesn't mean we're perfect in any way. Trust me. My partner will tell you so. But what I wanted to mention is that, we've talked about exercising and moving your body because it's good for you, because your body needs it, and not to look a certain way. But we get it. You want to look a certain way because society says that you're supposed to look that way. I totally understand. I've struggled with it in the past as well. It does feel better when your pants fit. I get it. So what this mindset shift is about is starting to, instead of saying I have to go work out because I have to fit my jeans, you can now say I'm going to go work out because my body deserves to feel that way. And as you shift your mindset that way, you'll actually gain more from your workout, because it's not so much about something you have to complete or a way that you're supposed to be because you need to be that way. It's more about you giving to yourself. And as we talked about in our last conversation, as I'm sure you've heard many stories about or read in books and magazines, sometimes it's hard for especially women to take care of themselves and see that as something valuable. But taking time to move your body in a way that actually serves your body, serves your lifestyle, and serves you as a human being is definitely serving you. It's worth it. It's making you into a better person. It allows you to feel better. You'll have more energy. You'll want to do more exercise. You'll be more likely to want to wake up early and go for that hike on Saturday morning with your girlfriends. Or you might be the one who creates that opportunity for others and be the leader in your community. You never know, but it starts with changing the mindset to say, this is for me. I deserve this movement. I deserve to go work out. And if that's CrossFit, or if that's yoga, or if that's laying on your floor and doing some sit-ups, or just moving your body, whatever it is, you deserve to have that.
Thank you. Thank you. I love that. I really do. It's that piece of self-compassion and self-love. And I am doing this for me. This is a time for me, and not because I have an expectation of X outcome. Really, I think a beautiful thing to think about. So thank you.
And one more thing on that piece as well is that there's nothing wrong with having goals. And Vivian, as you said, gearing up for your half marathon, that's awesome. Good for you. That's something to be very proud of. And I know that there's so many different types of challenges we can do, like Tough Mudder, and I know there's Mudderella over in this province. I don't know if it goes anywhere else. But there's all these different beautiful opportunities to set a goal and work towards it. And that is awesome. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think what you need to do before you decide that you want to accomplish that is consider why. Why am I making this my goal? What difference is this going to make in my life? How is this going to serve me? What is my body going to gain from it? And then take it from that place and then move forward, as opposed to the push, need. Just make it into a piece of love for your body, a piece of love for your life, and bring that in with all of your friends who are doing it with you.
Yes, yes, yes. I love that. I love that. I love that. Why? Asking yourself why. And that asking yourself why am I doing this? This question is I think really a popular one amongst health coaches, right? Because we ask ourselves that all the time in all areas of our life. So why am I doing X, or why do I want to do X? And just knowing your why, because when you know your why, it is so much easier, and the path becomes so much more clear. Because if you know your why and it's clear and it is true and deep in your heart, then whatever challenges come up along that path, they will feel like so much easier and so much more accessible, because what your why is. If you lose sight of that, then you kind of lose that purpose of action, So really asking yourself why is a beautiful question. It allows you to get clear and have really like more connection with your inner self and what it is that you truly desire and want to see in your life. So it's an awesome question to ask, and definitely one that I think everyone would benefit from reflecting on. So thank you, lady.
Yeah.
So one thing that I think I've definitely thought about and has come up for me a lot, because I have, I do a lot of different things, and there's certain times in my life where I'm moving around a lot, or I'm traveling for weeks at a time, or I have a lot of different things happening. And so how does this movement piece fit in? Because I know for me, there's been times in my life when I've been on a really great roll. I feel great. I'm moving my body every day, and, maybe I'm going to the gym or whatever it is. And then something happens. I get sick for a week, or I go out of town, or somebody, or it's a holiday or whatever, these things come up and it throws us off, and we get out of our rhythm. And the next thing we know, it's been a week and we haven't done anything. So what do you think about that? How do we guide people to move through those kind of experiences when things come up in life?
So two things came to mind. The first one is making sure that you have something that you do regularly that fits into every schedule. So as I talked about moving your hips to check in with your body, that is literally something you can do in a public bathroom if you need to check in and see how you're feeling and what's going on in your system. So finding something that you can do every single day that isn't taxing, that doesn't take a lot of time, but is your physical calming moment to check in with yourself, means that even when you're sick and you can barely get out of bed, when you do go and sit at the kitchen table or sit on the couch or something, you can sit there and move and check in with yourself that way. And the other thing that came to mind was your mindset. So if you, again, are going to the gym because you have a goal that you're trying to achieve, or because you think you have to, that's the only way that you can keep fitting into your jeans or whatever it is, it doesn't have the same deep-rooted, heartfelt why as it would if you were doing it for that reason, for the why reason. And so if you know exactly why you want to be moving your body every single day, you're more likely to flow back into it after you've taken some time to rest your body when you're sick, because it's something that means a lot to you. And it's not something on your to-do list, and it's not something that you have to do. And I get that this can be challenging and it takes time to get to that place. But this is where playing around with asking yourself, why? How is this serving me? What does this do for my lifestyle? What does this do for who I am? How does this affect the people around me? And when you start to understand your why like that, more opportunities to move your body in a different way come up. So perhaps you're traveling and you're visiting friends or family and you feel great, but you don't have your own space to go and do your own practice that you normally do. Well, maybe because you already have this idea that this is so important to you, you'll mention, well, why don't we go for a hike together? Well, why don't we all go for that nice long walk along the water that everyone's been talking about? Or why don't we go to a fitness class together? You know, we haven't done that in years, or whatever it is. But it just opens your mind up to recognize that there are different ways to move your body, and you're more likely to be the one to instigate that.
I love that. I love that. And I think that piece is so important, right? That we don't have to, just because we are out of our normal routine and maybe we can't go to our normal gym or our normal yoga class or something, that doesn't mean that we have to totally throw movement out the window for that time being, right? So acknowledging that you can, you know, going for a walk with your friends while you're, you know, visiting out of town or whatever, or, you know, even just if you feel like you only have, you know, you have a lot of things in your schedule and you only can fit in 10 minutes. Well, what can you do in 10 minutes? Can you just do some push-ups there on your hotel room floor and some sit-ups and stretch for 5 minutes? And then let that be enough. I think that's another piece that's so important, is like letting that be enough, acknowledging, hey, I still did movement today. It was 10 minutes. That was what I could fit in today. And sure, normally I work out for an hour, but today I'm, you know, out of town or whatever, and I only had 10 minutes. So acknowledging that and letting that be enough, because I think, I know it's gone through my head where I'm like, well, I really don't have enough time to go to this workout class, so I guess I'm just not gonna go today because I really don't have that extra hour and a half or whatever that I need. So instead of having that, if I'm connected with my why and I know that me moving my body and, you know, that makes me feel alive and energized, then if I'm connected with that, then it's easier for me to say, well, I can do a, you know, a 20-minute YouTube video workout right now. I have 20 minutes, you know? So that actually happened to me this morning. I had a lot of things that were happening this, you know, this and that. And so instead of going to my yoga class this morning, I did a 20-minute video here at my house. So I didn't waste my time driving and all of these things. And that's great. You know, let that be enough and acknowledge that.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I'm sure you've talked about this with a lot of clients about releasing guilt around food. It's the same thing with fitness. Release the guilt around fitness. Recognize that you're doing the best that you can and that you're doing what's right for your body. And if 10 minutes or 20 minutes is all that you have, or if just simply stretching for 3 minutes is all you can fit in today, acknowledge that that's enough and that's serving you regardless. So release the guilt. You don't need it. It's not necessary. And I just want to say hey to Lauren. Lauren says that she absolutely loves the why. She constantly has to put herself in check right now because she's pregnant again. Congratulations. And you're really trying to honor each season of your life. I love that. That's beautiful. Knowing that you can't do high intensity right now, so gentler pace with your body weight will do. But keeping centered and not trying to get down on myself. Oh, Lauren, I love that. You've got yourself right on check. That's awesome. And just keep doing those things that allow you to take that moment to check in with yourself, like you're saying, and just whether it's working with your hips, whether it's just stretching your arms, whatever it is, take the time for yourself and acknowledge that in that moment, you are open to receive whatever your body needs to tell you. And your body will speak to you, trust me. It will start to speak louder and louder, which is beautiful.
Amazing. I love that. I think that's your statement there is a really nice thing to kind of start to close our conversation with, right? That we really, what this is about is checking in with your body. So getting in tune with that why question first and foremost. And then I love what you've shared with us today about starting your day by just moving your hips and starting to move that energy so that you can get into kind of in tune with yourself and ask yourself what you need. And then really from there, like being open to receiving and whatever it is that that your body's asking for that day, I think is beautiful.
Yeah, I love it. I really enjoy this conversation because I think there is a shift happening where people are starting to acknowledge that fitness and exercise doesn't have to be as hardcore as it once was. I mean, we have moved past that time of having the leotard, so that's great. And I think that it's just about creating an awareness of what it means for you and what you need to feel best in your body, in your life, to make sure that your body is digesting your food properly, utilizing all the nourishment and the nutrients, and that your muscles feel strong and capable, and that you are just living the best life that you can. That's what it's all about. Like you said in the beginning, we just want to feel good.
Yes, we just want to feel good, living our best lives, being self-compassionate, and just doing it. I love it.
And feeling vibrant and divine.
Awesome. Well, I think this has been a great conversation, and I hope a lot of people are getting something from it. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. You have so much amazing information in your brain, lady. I appreciate our conversation.
Thank you, Nikki, and thank you, Lauren and Vivian, for joining us. And for anyone who's watching now in the replay, if you have any questions, feel free to email either of us or both of us, or find us on Facebook. We're open books. We love to chat with everyone about this kind of stuff. That's why we're doing these conversations. So reach out to us if you have any questions.
Absolutely, and we will be back next week at the same time for the third part in our series. We will be talking about digestion and juicy stuff like that. So I'm super excited. I hope you guys can join us next week. Blessings. Be well and